In today's video, I'm going to be showing you how I turned SVGs like these into actual sellable items using a 3D printer. Let's get into it. Sites like Etsy have tons of 3D layered SVGs that you can buy and then create products from. If we go to Etsy and we type in 3D layered SVG, already there's just so many cool designs. That's cool. This art piece is really cool. This one's really cool, very intricate. Camping, Halloween, gingerbread house. You can see it goes on and on. There's so many options to choose from. Alright, so this is the one that I've landed on to start with. Let's jump over to Illustrator and see what we've just purchased. Once I had the SVG inside Illustrator, I broke it apart so I could see each of the individual layers and their colors. I decided to keep most of the colors the same in this design. I liked the purple background, and I liked that the yellow was part of the sky. I knew what two colors I wanted to use for these, and so I made notes as I went along. For the blue windows, I didn't think that this blue would match any of the colors that I have as filament options, so I decided to go with Overture Dark Blue. Next, for the green, I don't really have anything that's this color green, like a Shrek green. I'd like to use more of a pastel line of colors, and so I'm going to continue with the Bamboo Matte colors, and I'm going to go Bamboo Matte Green. Now we're getting somewhere. I have some Polymaker marble that needs to be used up, and so I'm going to throw that here because I think that would give it a cool speckled effect. And then this gray, I have Polymaker Ash Gray, and then this orange. So I do have this Bamboo Matte Orange that I think would look really good here. I have that Polymaker Army Purple, which I think will look very good for that. And then this color, I have an Overture like blue-gray that I think I want to use for this. Overture Black, and then another Polymaker Marble Limestone for the top. And I think that'll be pretty good. And now that we have finished picking all of our colors, we need to export each of our pieces one by one. And when you go to import, you will choose a file, and as you choose your files, you will need to scale them proportionally, so you all want them to be scaled at the same. And in this case, I scaled them all to be 33%, so every one that I import will need to be 33%. Make sure you increase your quality all the way up. Alright, once you have increased the quality, they're the size that you want them to be, they are ready to be exported. So, you just hit export, choose STL, and then bring them into Bamboo Studio. And here you can see I spent quite a bit of time going through each of my filaments so that whenever I imported each of my pieces, all I had to do was quickly right click on the piece, change filament, pick the one that it needed to be, and everything was done and ready to print. So now that all of my files are ready to go, it's time to print. Printing each of these was actually super easy. Each page took less than 25 grams of filament and printed in around 45 minutes to 1 hour. The hardest part was going back to the printer each time and starting a new print over and over again. But in the end, we had actually printed a pretty cool item. The only thing it was missing was a box for it to be housed in. I decided to try out Onshape. I'm kind of new to 3D modeling. I do the whole 2D to 3D relatively well, but actual 3D modeling, I'm fairly new to. But I tried out Onshape. I watched some tutorials, took some notes, drew some sketches, and I actually created a pretty cute little box. Sweet! It fits pretty perfectly. So, can't really sit it up, so I'll have to handle that if I want it to sit up tall. It's kind of heavy to hang on a wall without any piece on the back. But I'm just happy that something I modeled worked. The box worked, and I actually felt like this was a pretty complete piece. I met my goal. I just wanted to 3D print this haunted mansion. But I wasn't done yet. There was more. So the next design I decided to start working on is this one. I liked the concept of the design. I like the swirliness. I like how it changes colors throughout the design. But I think I want to change the actual colors, and I want to turn it into an actual piece and not just like the last one where I 3D print the object. I went through the same process in Illustrator, separating the layers and changing the colors of the piece until it fit my style better. I didn't know exactly what colors I wanted in the design, but I did know that I wanted it to be more matte, less bright and shiny, because that's the types of filaments that I'm into right now. I wanted the bamboo matte yellow to be like the center point of this first piece. Then, the next color I imagined needed to be the bamboo matte orange. After that, the other colors just started to flow. Until I eventually landed here. But I wasn't done, because I wanted this to be an actual piece this time. If I swap all the colors around in a somewhat pleasing way, and then display them together, hopefully it'll look cool. So this is the goal. I plan to make a 2x2 piece. I moved all the colors around, took a little time to make it look right, I guess. So we'll get to printing and we'll see what it looks like. Round 2 of the pumpkins has finished printing. I think they're all coming out pretty nicely. The actual printing process is going pretty fast. I'm basically running 7 printers right now to just try and knock them out as fast as possible because they only take 30 minutes to print each. But when you have 8, 9, 10 different prints per piece, that takes a while. Pumpkin number 2 is done. Time to start pumpkin number 3. I kept the same 0.6 millimeter thickness for this box as well. But since there were only 9 sheets instead of 11, this box, which I was hoping would be universal, is too loose. And that is the purple one. Okay, I'm definitely going to print... Let me see, actually. Let me take a picture of each of them in the black. I do need it to be slightly thinner because there's quite a bit of clearance in between there, so I will adjust that. But I want to take a picture and see if I like the black. Sometimes a picture can tell you whether you like something more than just looking at it with your plain eye. I'm just happy that something I made actually works. Okay, so the yellow in the black. You can see the numbers down here, so I may need to go and fix those also, because I don't like that you can see through that. So I could change the design, but I also didn't want the top layer printed at 0.6 because you can see through them and they're just too flimsy here in the swirly part. So I decided to increase the thickness of that first one to make up the gap. And it worked! I also decided to print the box for these in the same color as the top piece, and I think that made it look so much better. I think these turned out way better than when they were in the black outer piece. Pretty happy with them. The only thing I'm not super happy with, maybe you can kind of see there's like bowing right here pretty significantly, which is definitely in the design of this, or maybe it has something to do with my heat settings or like my speed cooling, something like that, but definitely some significant bowing in the back right here. And the supports did not come off super easily on these. The matte ones worked super well. It clean. It came off super clean and easy, but these two I would definitely have to change the settings for, the Overture Orange and the Polymaker Army Purple. But because I chose to do the orange on the orange, it's not that noticeable. I mean, I definitely would need to clean this up if I wanted to sell this item and change the bowing issue, but for my personal art journey, I'm pretty happy with this. I'll need to fix some print settings for the box before I'm happy with it. But for now, it's a cool art piece, and I'll probably hang it on the wall with some Velcro. That way, I can change it out in the future, and maybe make some more art pieces depending on the season. Alright, so I finished printing that one. I still didn't feel satisfied though. This still didn't feel like a product. But then I saw this wreath, and as soon as I saw it, I knew I needed to print it. And not only do I want to print this wreath, I want to print it full-sized, which 100% will not fit on the build plate. So I'm gonna have to cut it up and use the slicer and print it in mini parts. So lots of work to do. I went through quite a few color changes to get from the original to my new version. The original version had a lot of bright colors, and the green was just too vibrant, I think, and I didn't really have any colors that would print to match that really. So I went with this new version, and I think it's going to turn out pretty nice. Alright, first time trying out Numakers, so thank you to Numakers for sending me this sample filament to try out in the video. And a nice light gray with a plastic spool that I'm sure will fit in the AMS. So I'm excited to give this one a try. We'll see how it looks in the design. Nice. Okay, so the Numakers light gray actually turned out pretty awesome. It's not super shiny. It's pretty matte, actually. And I think it's going to go super well against this dark gray. I wanted to print a small version first to test the colors and the sizing. I maxed out the print bed and printed them 2 millimeters thick. Alright, we're still missing some colors, but that is the direction we're heading, and I like it, I think. I may end up changing out this teal, because I don't think this is the right teal for the top. But we'll see when the whole piece comes together. Maybe the yellow and the brown will make me like the teal more. Once I had the small version printed and I felt pretty good about the colors, it was time to cut it up and print it large. I decided on 18 inches for the diameter of my wreath, and it required me to scale every piece up by 188.44%. So I scaled the X and the Y, and then I put the Z back down to 2 or 3 millimeters depending on the piece. The 4 main chunky pieces I decided to cut using the dovetail method to kind of create some puzzle piece type edges that would help the glue hold a little better. It took a long time, but I finally got something that I was happy with, and I was ready to start printing. And printing took forever. I think there could have been 48 total prints, but there were a lot of prints. I was going up and down the stairs, changing filaments, back to the computer, but eventually we made it to the end, and we were ready to start gluing. So I've got all of the printed parts laid out on the table. And some of the larger pieces I had to cut using the dovetail joint on Bamboo Studio. And so some of them have little pieces like that, kind of like puzzle pieces, for them to be placed together. So I'll need to create the backing out of this orange. And I did print some of these quite a bit thicker than the small wreath, just so that it would have a little bit more to hang on to and a little bit more space for the glue to actually bind. So we're going to start with the backing, which is this orange. This is Overture Orange, and then we'll go from there. This seems like it's going to be pretty good. The seams are there, they're visible, but hopefully most of the seams get covered up. And I think they will. I tried to keep that in mind when I was slicing it. I mean, like, cutting it up in the slicer. But we'll see when it turns out. I mean, it's going to be at a distance, so who knows. And this yellow is probably another color that I'll end up keeping in stock. I loved it. I didn't know how much I loved it until I put it in every single project that you see in this video. Nice, and then this little piece here goes in there. I didn't mean to cut that one all by itself. I tried to be very conscious of where I was making the cuts, but this tiny little guy missed my vision. Okay, that's all the gluing. We're done. All right, and now that our pieces have finished drying, it's finally time to hang them up. So I got different kinds of Velcro. The black one, it is black, which kind of stinks, but it holds up to 10 pounds. And when I weighed this, I think it weighed maybe around 5 pounds. It's definitely not 10 pounds. And so I'm gonna plan on using the home improvement version of the Velcro for this one, for the big one. And then if I wanna hang the small one, I'm just gonna use this Velcro here that holds 5 pounds, because this isn't even a pound. But we're ready to start Velcroing. The reason I want to use the Velcro is so that I can replace it with a winter wreath in like a month or two. So hopefully I can just keep buying more rolls of this Velcro and keep it stuck to each of the wreaths. Keep like a template spot on the door or here, and just take them down and re-stick them, which would be cool. Last piece of Velcro on the big one. That seems like sort of centered. Putting a lot of faith in sorta. All right, I think it's a little crooked, but that's okay. Hopefully it doesn't fall. Also gonna hang the small one here. I think that's a pretty cool spot for this. All right, so that's everything. We got the large wreath up over there going into the print room, which will be cool because that means since it's up with Velcro, I can always keep something on that door and just keep changing out the art piece. And all of these art pieces that I did for this video have inspired me, and I'm gonna be working on my own art skills a little bit more, because instead of printing other people's items that you have to worry about their commercial license, you have to worry about just different moving pieces, that if I design my own pieces, I don't have to worry about that. So that's the next move. If you liked this video, there's more coming. I really enjoyed this video. I'm loving this art style. So don't be surprised if you see more videos like this coming your way. So if you liked it, hit the like button, make sure you subscribe. That's all I got for this one, and I'll see you guys in the next one.